If you have kids, do they fear any of the same animals that you do? Okay, so get this. The most common animal fear out there is spiders. This fact and more awaits you inside the Natureverse 4.7. So yes, a fear of spiders is the most common fear amongst people. But where did that fear start? Does it start from watching our parents freak out over a spider in the house? Or is there something else driving that fear? Could it be some fears are genetic and we can't help ourselves but to be repulsed by certain animals? For instance, let's look at snakes. Early humans no doubt would have encountered certain plants and animals that were less than desirable because, well, they could take away your life. Is it possible that their fear of these animals became so ingrained in the human experience that we now pass down that fear to our children? Or is it biblical? Did what happened between Adam and Eve and the serpent produce a fear in us that snakes should be hated instead of loved and accepted? While many people do fear snakes, there are numerous people out there who find snakes to be delightful, in much the same way that some people find spiders interesting. My kids would have had a strong chance of not only liking snakes and spiders, but equally, they might have also developed a fear of bees and wasps by watching my reaction to such animals. That is right, we can pass on our fears and anxieties to our children. Children can pick up a lot from watching their parents. They pick up language, food preferences, cultural things, social skills, and more, all by observing and being taught. Kids watch their parents' reaction to animals, and our reactions to certain animals can teach our kids to either be afraid of animals or to like animals. For instance, I tend to move away from bees and wasps. I would like to keep some distance between me and them. However, I'm getting better at it. But I know they still make me nervous. They still make my heart race. A child who sees a nervous parent picks up on that and could develop that same exact anxiety. Now, it is also true that a child who is stung by a wasp might also develop a phobia of wasps. Likewise, if my child were walking with me and we came across a stray dog, my kids might pick up on my anxiety and could develop a fear of dogs. Likewise, getting bit by a dog could cause the development of a fear of dogs. Now let's flip the script. I know a fellow content creator who loves insects and spiders. And she actually handles and has kept spiders and other insects at her home. I've seen her free handle wasps, something I could never do. I have also kept all manners of critters in my lifetime. Does this translate to kids who are less afraid or more curious about the animals that we've kept? All of my older nieces and nephews know I had my pets. They all knew that I had them, but it was my older brother's kids who were a little bit more exposed to them. Kids need that exposure to all kinds of animals, but they need adults to guide them in this exploration so that it is done safely. If it's done correctly, they won't have any bad experiences that might cause them to fear these animals. We need kids who love animals, who then grow up to care for animals and care for the environment. I don't know if my nieces and nephews were affected for better or worse by me having them, by me having my pets. So I'm hoping that they learn to appreciate them a little bit. Kids are curious, so rather than teaching them to fear something, isn't it better to teach them to love or like wildlife? That being said, we also need to be teaching them to be careful when out in nature. Something I think is equally important when dealing with wildlife because, after all, not all wildlife is safe to be around. Another area that needs to be addressed is the content our kids take in. If your kids are curious about animals, there are a ton of content creators who put out great content on a whole mix of animals. And guys, I could post these content creators for you, but watch them, decide if they're okay for your kids, and then let your kids watch. There are great books that you can read with your kids, or that your kids can look at them with you. Just be ready to answer their questions, and if you don't know the answers, reach out. I'm sure any one of us nature/animal content creators would be happy to engage with you when it comes to answering your kids' questions. There are programs at zoos and parks that teach kids about the world around them. Take advantage of them. Movies or TV shows, even the news, can sometimes cast hate on animals. We need to be willing to talk to our kids about those shows and set them straight about what was happening in those shows. There are a ton of animal myths. Guys, I have a whole playlist filled with myth busting on animal myths. Look them up. Anyway, I could go on a whole lot longer on this topic. I don't know who suggested it, but it was a great topic and one I truly enjoyed doing. Who knows? I may revisit this at a later date, but for now, this is Nature Guy X46 saying, see you in the next one. Goodbye.